All right, Tim Adams, Chad Brendel, BearcatJournal.com here at the Shakely Athletic Center over on the practice field today. Got a little Seapaw in the background. We're working on our staging.
Yeah, no more brick walls.
No more brick walls. I think this might be the best one yet. Obviously, rough week last Saturday up in Columbus. Offense hung around, defense. At this point, we'd probably rather not talk about it, but you've got to refocus. How hard is it coming off a game like that to go straight into a conference game with an opponent that's got some talent? And how much do you think it kind of equalizes itself that they also had a huge rivalry game against Ole Miss that they weren't able to pull out?
I think that's a great point. They played Mississippi last week, and that was a big game for them since I played Ohio State. Both teams are playing their first conference games. Both teams coming off of disappointing losses. Although, the Ohio State, just to talk about it for a minute, I talk about all the time about how there's 4 or 5 plays that can change a game. And if you go back and look at that game, of course, we all will agree, and I think even the officials have agreed, that the interference call on Johnny Holton was a terrible call. I mean, Eli Apple had his jersey for 5 to 7 yards. And not only do you not get the touchdown if the fraction hadn't occurred, and you don't get the penalty.
Now you're first and 25.
Yeah, now you're first and 20. You lose that possession. And the only way Cincinnati was going to win that game was to outshoot them, outscore them. And you look at the illegal man downfield, which the guy they called it on wasn't illegally downfield.
There was a guy.
Yeah, there was a guy, but not the one they called it on. And there was never any flag actually thrown on the play. They sort of, the Big Ten officials kind of got together and saw it. And then the other one was, let's say Cincinnati gets a break, and the Joey Bosa sack of Gunner, which was a shot right around the head, is targeting.
And he's out.
He's out. You erase the 2 points and the next possession, which was a weak punt where they scored a touchdown. So you're eliminating 9 points from Ohio State, giving Cincinnati 14, and all of a sudden it reverses. Cincinnati's got a slight lead. So, when you go on the road to play a ranked team like Ohio State, your margin for error is very, very small.
Absolutely.
And when you're not getting any calls, in fact, you're getting horrible calls from some of the officials and points taken off the board, it makes it almost impossible to win. But now they've got to overcome, and I think everyone's pretty much forgotten that. But, it would have been a big feather in their cap had they won. And I truly believe Cincinnati could beat that team with maybe a break or two instead of just the opposite of not getting a break or two.
You do have to give them credit. It could have got bad.
Oh, absolutely. In the first half, they're down 30-7.
30-7, it looked like, oh, man, this is going to be a not-so-fun experience. And they fought back. You have to give them a lot of credit for that. And who knows what would have happened had Chris Moore been able to get that touchdown on the offensive lineman called downfield. And then, the Johnny
And any Buckeye fan that says that he wasn't totally worried about that game, when Johnny Holton with the
got behind,
he's lying, because if the Bearcats scored they're only down 1 with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, so that was still a ball game.
Now on to Memphis. I know a lot of people are disparaging their offense and basing it strictly on what happened against Ole Miss. That's an elite top 10 defense in the country. They weren't able to run the ball. They want to run the ball. That is the staple of what they do. They've got a solid quarterback in Fuentes.
Paxton Lynch.
Paxton Lynch, sorry. They've got a solid quarterback in him, so they're not a bad offensive team. They just had a bad week last week.
Yeah, they're a team. They did face a very talented Mississippi defense, and they really struggled to move the football. And
as most would.
As most would. They lost their running back, the sophomore Garcias, I think his name was. But they've got Brandon Hayes, who started the season as their #1 guy. He's a little bit short. He's only 5'8", about 195. He's back. I mean, he played in that game too. They got a young freshman that they apparently like. But you're right. They want to run the football. That's what they're built on. Their offensive line is big. Everybody's over 300 pounds other than their centers at 290. The left tackle was a kid that Cincinnati looked at, but decided not to move on him from Hargrave. But he's 6'7", 325 pounds. And Bond, the right tackle, who gave up 2 sacks in that game, was a third-team All-AAC player last year. So they face some pretty good people, but they want to run the football, and they'll run it even with Paxton Lynch. I mean, he's 6'7", 230 pounds. But they'll run it with him. They'll run some option with him, and they'll, some draws. And so they want to run the football, and they've done a good job of taking care of the football this year, which was always a big problem.
Yeah, and defensively, they're okay.
Defensively, I think they're more than okay personally. I mean, right now they're playing without the best player on their team defensively, probably the best player on the team. Martin Afidi was 11.5 sacks last year, and I don't know how many tackles for loss. Now, he went down in the Austin Peay game, and I don't know if he's going to be able to play this week. He is showing on their depth chart, but I don't know if they update those things. But that kid's a stud, and if they get him back, and one thing that, our fans are always looking at our defensive line, how big they are. This defensive front for Memphis is not big. There's nobody over 280 pounds. And they held the point of attack against Mississippi extremely well.
7-3 in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely. So they did a great job against what was a pretty good SEC offense. So, and the other guy they've got is that cornerback, I think his name's McCall or McLean.
And
he's got 3 picks. He got 2 last week, and then he's had fumble recovery. So he's got 4 takeaways in 4 games himself.
That's going to be an interesting one. Who do they put him on? Basically, who do they say this is the guy we need to take out? And you have to think after what happened in Columbus, it's Chris Moore.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because we know McKay can make plays. We know Johnny Holden can make plays from the outside. And then you've also got Chris Moore. So it really doesn't matter who they think they're going to take. And even if they put him on one of those guys, his pants might be on fire.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to come at him. Gunner would have to be – you're going to have to pick your spots if you're going to go after him because of his ability to take away the football. But overall, I mean, you're not going to say we're just not throwing to Chris Moore because that guy's got him on an island.
No, he can beat anybody. He does it out here all the time. And even when he's guarded, he's not guarded because he can go up over the top and catch the football anyway.
So, storyline-wise, I mean, what are you looking for this week? What do you think the Bearcats need to do? How can they exploit Memphis and really pick up a win that might be more important than last week because you want to get off to a good start in the AAC?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Going home, I always listen to Sirius Radio on the college channel, Channel 91, and a guy called up talking about Justin Fuentes and saying, what a great job he's doing in Memphis, and maybe he's a perfect fit for Kansas. And, last year, the Memphis fans were saying, when are we ever going to get a big win? But I think they feel a lot different about this team. It's a huge game for both teams because they want to rebound. It's the first league game. As far as what Cincinnati has to do offensively, I really think with this team, you pass to set up the run. I know that's backwards in the way football coaches think, but I think that's what you do here.
Play to your strength.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take off a little more time, beat them deep a little bit, and then start chipping away at with Shaq and Max Morrison underneath, and maybe use your running backs a little bit more. But for me, it's hard to say you don't still try to stretch that field because since he's got such great deep receivers that you want to do it. Defensively, you all know Cincinnati's got to tackle better, and you hope that they could put some pressure on Paxton Lynch and make him make some mistakes.
Be a good week for Silverberry to get going.
Yeah, really get going. And Hartsfield has really
played well.
He's played the best of everybody up there, I think. So, but you got to hold the point of attack. That's one thing they didn't do a very good job of the other day. Luck took some heat about making his tackles downfield, but he's trying to work. He can't just scrape east and west. There's so many people back there that he's backing up in order to be able to scrape down the line.
The tackles are 3 yards the wrong way.
Yeah.
Where's the middle linebacker supposed to go?
Yeah, so when he's trying to scrape, where normally he'd go east and west, he's got to go more south because he doesn't have the room to play in there. So I think special teams, again, the punting game was not as good as we'd like to see it. Their kicker is not bad. I think he's only 3 for 5, but his 2 misses are from 50 yards out. So maybe, so far you look at this team, and Andrew Gantz has had only 2 field goal attempts.
Yeah.
This team has been extremely proficient scoring touchdowns.
And they've been scoring them from 40, 50 yards out. They're not even bothering with the red zone for the most part. They're hitting from deep.
You're right, and they've done very, very good at scoring. So I think they have to keep scoring. This team's going to win by scoring points, and they have to score probably at least 35 points a game to win games.
Yeah, reminiscent of 2012, kind of.
Yeah, that team had to score a lot as well. So, you hope that this defense gets his pride shaken a little bit and says, we can play better than what we played. And, Memphis is not Ohio State for certain, but
they can still win.
They can still,
if you don't play well, they can still absolutely come in here and get a win.
They're one of the more improved teams. You look at them and Temple, and I think those are the 2 most improved teams you look at in the AAC coming into this year. And so they're going to be, they're expecting 30,000 plus again, and Cincinnati needs this win. If you lose this game, now you start to lose your fan base. And like I always tell my wife when I leave the stadium, if we lose, my life's going to be miserable for the next 24 to 48 hours because everybody else is miserable.
You've had 2 games of Paul Brown. Are you warming up to the Paul Brown Stadium experience yet?
You know, I'm a Nipper guy. I'm a Cub fan, and if you separated Wrigley Field from Chicago Cubs, I don't know how excited I'd be about that. So it's really, really hard for me.
But does it ease it knowing it's only temporary?
Oh, absolutely. Otherwise, I would have slit my throat 3 weeks ago. I mean, being down there, and the people have been very nice. Our first experience, we were walking all over the place, and no one knew where to direct us and so forth. But it was much better last week. So the experience hasn't been horrible, but boy, there's nothing like being on a college campus.
You're just old and set in your ways.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about that.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. You got the Bearcats this week?
Yeah, I think, the Bearcats, and I think it's going to be probably, I keep saying like 2 score. I'm going to go 2 touchdowns. Win by 2 touchdowns.
All right, I'll go Bearcats 10.
Good, that still makes me better than you.
All right.
They still got to like me better.
That's going to wrap it up. He's Tim Adams. I'm Chad Brendel, BearcatJournal.com.